I like going hunting, just me, my hound, and my gun. Chasing them deer, rabbit, and squirrel, now that's my kind of fun. I like going fishing too, I'll go on any whim, looking for the big bass, the crappie, and the brim. Just give me a wide open field to walk through. Give me an ocean so deep. I want to ride the longest river in the world, or maybe climb the highest mountain peak. Like going down to the fishing hole, my buddies and me and my old cane pole. Bait them hooks and wet them lines, it's a life I love so fine. It's almost supper time, you'd think the world was mine.
Had numerous occasions where people have got lost out hunting, or airplane crashes, or wars, or all kinds of things. And we're going to bring you a program that we think you will find real interesting. It's going to be how to survive in the wilderness. And for that, we got J.T. Dabbs, who is a graduate of Birmingham Southern, a botanist, and also a fellow that's worked in the scouting program, the same as I have, for a number of years, over 10 years, teaching folks. And if you would, JT, tell them some of the folks you teach and some of the things you do in this survival business.
Well, I've been around, in Alabama and a few other, even out of state, a few places, and have lectured with a lot of conservation groups, Birmingham Audubon Society, Sierra Club, backpacking groups, scouts and school kids. And been involved in some of the outdoor education programs in Birmingham schools and places like that in teaching.
Well, the folks that know you that have talked to me said that as far as outdoor plants and edibles, that you're about the best they are. In fact, you've even written a book about it.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to take them, and we're out here in a remote area in central Alabama, and we just came into the area, and JT is going to take us on a stroll through here, and we're going to cover what you can eat, what you can cook from the wilds, all types of things, and we're just going to take it one step at a time. And first thing up is going to be watercress.
Watercress.
Okay. All right, JT, now what we got here now?
Okay, this is the watercress. It's the common watercress you can find growing out in the wild. And there are a couple good things about watercress. First, before we talk about what parts you can eat, where it's a good indicator. Where watercress grows usually indicates fairly clean water.
I see.
So you'd be a lot safer in getting water to drink out of this area. Doesn't mean there are no organisms that can make you sick. Still need to purify it if you have that capability, but it's a good indicator there's no chemical pollutants or anything like that. Now the plant itself, it grows usually in large colonies spread out, as you see here.
Well, we've got a nice little clean stream coming right through here.
Nice pretty area. And it usually grows in fairly shallow water, slow moving water. And the leaves are fairly distinctive, and looking at it, it's just a fairly simple little leaf, and it usually kind of grows down, and when you pull it up you can see the little white root hairs growing off each stem, like that. And if you were to gather it, you'd usually take the top part like that,
okay,
and use it. And if you were to taste it, it's got a mustard almost taste, a peppery, radish taste to it.
Very tender too.
And it's good in a survival situation. You could eat it raw.
I got you.
You could cook if you had a way to cook. You could cook it and just cook
like
it as a green,
right?
like turnip greens, and cook it up. It's usually best when you cook it to cook it in water. Pour off some of that water and add fresh water and cook it some more where it won't be quite as strong.
It's got a slight mint taste to it too. It's kind of a peppermint. Turnip tastes a little bit like turnips. That you would grow radishes.
Yeah, it's got a good radish taste. It's good. And if you were to use it at home, if you're out and you want to gather or whatever, not in a survival situation, you can use it in the watercress sandwiches. Just chop it up, add mayonnaise to it. You could use it in soups, add it to different things like that.
I see.
One other thing I want to point out on the watercress is that sometimes it's so succulent and it takes up a lot of water. Sometimes the raw plant, if it's in water that's been contaminated by, say, animals excreting in it, and it's polluted like that, and it's still growing in there, it may contain some disease germs on the plant itself. And if you were to eat it raw in some of those areas, you could pick that up. And you can get rid of that by either washing it in like a purified water, iodine mixture, or some other purification tablets. Of course, if you cook it, you don't have to worry about it. You know, you kill the germs.
Well, that's a real good one for survival, right?
Real good one.
Watercress.
It's fairly common in the southeast.
All right, let's move around here and see what else we can find. All right, JT, now this is a what now?
This is the Asiatic dayflower. It's not real common, but you can occasionally find it growing near a stream. A lot of people plant it. These flowers are a little past their prime. They're kind of old, so it
looks like a little butter bean they're coming out of.
Yeah, it's a pretty little flower. And the leaves are what you eat in the early spring.
Is this part of it right here?
No, that's a different one.
That's a different one.
This is it, the big one.
This right here.
Right,
right here.
And you would, in early spring, take the leaves and use them raw. You know, in a salad or something. But it's Asiatic dayflower.
Dayflower.
Right.
Well, that's fine. JT, look like we got a patch of buckeyes right here.
Sure enough, this is the red buckeye.
Red buckeye. Now these are kind of small compared. I've seen them as big around as about like that before.
Right. They get pretty big. And this is not to be confused with an edible plant. These are poisonous if you just eat them. For that, but the use that we want to talk about, we mentioned using it for fish.
Right.
You can crush them up and put it in water in a pond or something, and the chemicals will cause the fish to become paralyzed, and they'll float to the surface, and you can gather them. The Indians did this a lot.
Yeah, what they'd do, they'd make them a little dam across these streams, make them a little deep pocket, and then they'd go gather buckeyes, bang them up on the rocks, and just let it go in the water.
Toss them in there. Yeah, it wouldn't work if you just threw it in the creek that was running. It'd all wash away. But if you can contain it where the fish are, and then they'd get in
and the way to tell a buckeye is even before the little plants come up there. That would be a compound leaf too, wouldn't it?
Right. It's a different kind. This is it's a palmate because it's all spread out like that from a central area. All the leaves are attached like that, and it's a palmately compound leaf.
I see. Okay. And I see back behind us here, we've got some honeysuckle, and of course in some of my manuals they said the small leaves are edible, cook them like turnip greens, but when you get them up this size here, that for sure wouldn't be very edible at all. But that wouldn't be in the top bunch we talking about.
No, it's I've never even seen it mentioned hardly in the book or anything.
Yeah. It's way down there, but it's excellent for deer.
Yeah,
they love the stuff. Okay,
cool.
JT, we got a world of stuff right in this one little old spot right here. But
sure do.
Let's most especially bear down here. Now this is plantain.
Right, plantain, common plantain. And you can take the leaves of these and you can eat them raw, or you can cook them like that.
Okay, now most of this, after it gets up, it lays out flat on the ground. Just about everybody got some of this in the yard.
Right, sure, it's real common. Now that it puts up its flower stalk, and you can gather the seeds, and you can grind those up and make a flour with it, make bread with that.
All right, now right here, we don't have it blooming, but we want to show it.
Yeah, this is the common dandelion that you can find growing in fields and yards and places like that. The leaves can be eaten in the spring when they're not bitter. When they're real young, you can eat them raw. As they get older, you need to cook them. The roots can be dug up. You can roast them and dry them and grind them up and use it to make a coffee. The young flower buds can be eaten raw or cooked. The flowers can be eaten raw or cooked. They're real good dipped in batter and fried. And if you were to take the dandelion and pull it up just a little bit.
You didn't get the root that time.
Yeah, you want to pull it up above the root, and you can see the white part of the stem. You can cut that part off and cook it as a vegetable, as a tender part on the big ones, and use it, and it's real good.
Well, now see, here's another one that I want to talk about that leaf a minute. Look how jagged looking it is.
It's if you look into the history of the dandelion, the name of it translates to lion's tooth or something like that, and that's because of the jagged edge. Is from a French term.
I see.
Apparently, and that's kind of how it got its name like that.
All right, now we're still in the same little old place right here. We ain't even moved 2 feet, have we?
Right. This is just a clover, just a common clover. There are all sorts of clovers, your white clovers and your crimson clovers, and all those are edible. They're a little bit tough. You have to kind of boil them in salted water till tender. The leaves, usually in the spring, and eat them. Also, the best part of the clover is the flower. I don't see any flowers right around here, but the clover flower, you can dry it and you can grind it up, use it to make bread. It's a real good bread, or you can use it to make a tea, a real kind of an herbal type tea. It's got a really good flavor to it.
Well, in other words, in just one little place, once you recognize these plants, there's a nutweed right yonder, nut grass right there. See that little small one?
Yep, sure.
Of course, there wouldn't be a tuber on that one. It's too little. But the big ones, they got them tubers that, and just all kind of stuff. Well, we'll move on around and see what else we can find.
Okay.
Now, JT, this plantain that we got back yonder,
yes, sir.
just in, you can also wad this stuff up, and same as that jewel plant, and rub it on poison oak, and it'll take care of the poison oak.
Same as the jewel weed.
Same as jewel, and that grows right out in everybody's yard I ever been in, plantain.
That's good.
We got some willow right here. Now, this is a very interesting plant right here. On your end of it, as far as edibles, the little young leaves are...
Yeah, the young leaves, the tender leaves are packed with vitamin C, and they're good. You could cook them and eat it as a vegetable.
They tell me that after the Civil War, some of the battles they had, that the fellers ate the inner bark from the bigger trees, just that little layer on the inside. And they found out the Indians used to boil the bark off of this willow tree here when they had pain or headaches and all, and it cured them, and they later synthesized it back in the 30s, and they found out it's got the same chemical ingredients as common aspirin.
Common aspirin.
So they wasn't so dumb back then.
No, they weren't.
But they also had another plant that I don't know if we're going to find it up in this valley. It's called the spiny ash, and it's got knobs on it, look like football cleats. And you can cut a little piece off that, and the old timers call it toothache bark tree. Cut a little block, if you got a toothache, lay it right in there, and it'll deaden that gum just as dead as a hammer. So they had all kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, they sure did. They knew a lot more than we give them credit for.
Yeah, you can say that again. Now, JT, we not got anything good to eat right now on here, but these blackberries are excellent source of food when they're full of berries.
Real good. The blackberries are the dewberries.
Yeah.
Both of those plants have got a good berry when they're ripe. Usually ripen around in the early part of the summer. Around in there.
Right now we ain't got none of much on here.
No, not any. You can use the leaves to make a tea though. You can dry the leaves and grind it up, kind of crush it up, and use it to make a tea.
Well, now all of these plants, a lot of times people want a hot beverage, and certain things we're telling you psychologically, if you got out there and your buddies didn't know where you was at and anything, if you got something warm to drink and a little something to eat, that makes it a whole lot better for the survival.
Makes it a lot better, and if you keep busy, I mean, if you like peeling a plant or preparing it, you're keeping busy, and you do a lot better that way.
Let's see what we find in here.
All right.
All right, now, JT, this looks like a ground cherry, but you said it ain't.
Yeah, this is a little different from the ground cherry.
Looks like a little tomatoes on there, don't it?
Yeah, it's kin to the tomatoes, and the tomatoes and potatoes are both in the nightshade family. But this is a common nightshade, and often called horse nettle is another name for it.
Yeah, it's real sticky.
Real
got
sticky.
Stickers all over.
You can find it growing in fields and pastures, edge of woods, in woods, and it's deadly poisonous.
Bad news.
Bad news. If you were to eat the fruit or chew on the leaves, there's no reason you should, because it's not an edible. But there have been cases of people accidentally getting poisoned, mainly young children, and it'll kill you, really quick.
Don't monkey with a nightshade.
Right, they're pretty bad. There are lots of members of the nightshade family that are edible, and they're easy to identify, and then there are a few that kind of look like this that are edible also, but you have to be careful and distinguish which ones are, or you could be in real trouble.
So mostly you'll find these out in old fields. And
old fields.
All kind of places like that, right?
Lots of places like that.
Okay. And JT, here's some more of that nut grass and some plantain back in there.
Here's a new one here. This is a yellow sorrel, or just a wood sorrel, sour grass. All these are common names
when we was
for it.
kids, we used to eat that stuff.
Yeah, it's got a leaf that's it's sour.
And you touch it, it closes up. And this one it'll.
No, not usually. It
already closed up.
Usually already closed up some. It kind of looks like a shamrock.
Yeah, and it looks like clover too.
Yeah, it does. But you can just take the leaf and just chew on it, and it's got a good good sour taste to it.
Good.
The sour is from oxalic acid that's in it. And oxalic acid is common in many of your garden plants, like spinach and other things. But if you were to eat too much, it inhibits your body's ability to absorb calcium. So, you wouldn't want to eat, a big pot of it. But, you could eat it just like any other vegetable. And you can cook it, or you can eat it raw, like that. And it's
Just don't eat it 4 meals a day.
Right. And there are lots of different kinds. Some of them are purple, and they're real gorgeous, and you can use those to make a pie that kind of looks like rhubarb pie.
Well, I'll bet.
So, but it's a good little plant.
Jay, in open fields, you can just about always find dandelions and all. And I notice here's the
there's
common head. Everybody's seen
right,
that. That's
seed
the
head.
Seed head off
Right.
the dandelion, and that's one of our top 10 edibles.
Right. Plantain.
Plenty of plantain right there.
That we looked at, another real common one. I'm sure if you walk through here, you could probably find some more sorrel and other plantains, dandelions, wild lettuces,
Just all
kinds of things. If you walk through a field or a pasture.
JT, we got a bonus right here, hadn't we?
Sure do. We got the type of wild grape here. We got you find in southeast you find all kinds of wild grapes. The muscadine is an example of a type. This is a lot of people call this a possum grape. I don't see any grapes on this one. Sometimes you find them with grapes on them. Sometimes you don't.
Well, it's like the muscadines. Sometimes you'll find a vine that runs up all the way to the top of the tree and won't be a single muscadine on it, and then you find one just loaded.
Right, and the fruit's not the only thing edible. The young leaves can be eaten raw or cooked.
The wild grape. There's
the wild grapes.
That's some pretty little ones right there.
Those probably be pretty good to eat. You can also, if you're cooking at home, you can make stuffed grape leaves. It's an Arabic dish that you roll it in meat and cook it. Another thing that's good, if you find a grape growing upside of a tree, and if you can cut it up at the top and then cut it at the bottom and it's still on the tree, and then let the juice drain out as a source of drinking water.
That's
and
excellent.
You can use that to drink.
In other words, if you got a big old muscadine
you got a big
vine,
one, you
climb up the top, cut it up there,
then cut it at the bottom and let it drain, or you can even suck on it and pull the liquid out, and it's usually water or sap that you can drink.
And that'll get you. That's another good
that'll
survival tip right there. The main thing I want to show them on these grapes, though, is the way you tell. They all got these little runners on them.
Right, the tendrils. That's what they're called.
Tendrils?
In books, they're called tendrils.
I see.
And that's how they attach as they climb up and move. They grow up trees and bushes and things like that.
That's great. Maybe we can find one with some good ripe grapes on it.
Maybe we might can.
Now, JT, here's a look-alike plant that ain't worth a hoot hardly for nothing, is it?
Right. This is the arum.
How you spell that last word?
A-R-U-M.
A-R-U-M.
It's a member of the arum family. It's kin to Jack in the pulpit. And,
okay.
And it's kin to the elephant ear, the plant people, grow in their yards.
Right.
Okay. It is an edible plant, and it looks like the arrowhead.
Yeah.
But you can get in trouble because you have to prepare it in a certain way. And to prepare it, you take the seeds, and here's the seed pod right here. That's the seed pod, and you could break that open, and it's full of the seeds.
Boy, it's got a bunch of seeds in it.
And you can dry those, and you can also take the tuber. But the thing is, all members of the arum family have calcium oxalate crystals. Okay, and these are just little small microscopic crystals, and they're not poisonous, but they're an irritant. And if you were to bite into the seed or into the root or the leaf, these crystals will get into your mouth, and they burn real bad.
I see it right there. I can see it clear.
You can see a little bit.
Yeah.
And they burn real bad, and they stick in this kind of like little needles, and they burn all the way down to your throat, into your stomach.
That ain't good.
Not good at all. It can make you real sick.
All right, what about the tuber? What kind of tuber we got on
Well,
here?
you can dig it up, and it's usually got a fairly big tuber.
Now, this is a wet plant,
Yeah,
too.
they grow at the edge in wet soil, or at the edge of a lake or pond, around in places like that.
I don't know if I'm going to get down there or not. Yeah, there it is. No, it's way down there. You feel it?
There we go.
I didn't quite get it all the way down, did I? It's down in there 6 or 8 inches, isn't it?
Yep.
But now, what do we do with the tuber?
Well, here's the top of it, and you take it, and you can see how white it is.
Uh-huh.
And you would take that, and you would peel it, and you would cut it up into little pieces, and you would dry it out.
Okay.
And if you dry it for about 2 or 3 months, the crystals will break down,
Okay.
and then you can use it as a plant.
But for somebody that dropped out of the sky and I got to have something to eat today, he can forget this.
Forget
one, right?
that. Forget the Indians used it because they could prepare it, and then 2 or 3 months later it'd be ready. You know, and then it'd be another plant. But for a survival situation, it's not a plant to use.
Okay. We went out and gathered all this, and you done cooked me a good meal here. Now tell me a little bit about this lemonade from that.
Yeah, that's
sumac.
Lemonade from the sumac
Boy, that
berries.
is good.
That's good. We got here's some acorn cornmeal that we've ground up acorn meal, and there are the acorns, and there's the acorn bread you're munching on there.
That's mighty good bread, maybe them acorns.
Got some sassafras tea, purify your blood. That's good for you.
Have a little of that right there.
Got some pickles and stuff I'd made beforehand.
What'd you make them from?
That's made from pokeweeds. That's some good stuff right there.
What's that other stuff?
This is some glasswort. That's a plant that grows down on the coast, which is a good one.
What you do, pickle this stuff?
Yeah, just pickle it with vinegar and a little sugar, and there's some thicels, and these are some things that people could do at home.
Well, that's great now. Jay's written a Alabama Wild Edibles book, and we're going to come back in a minute, a little while, and give you the information on how to order it from him. He's done a fabulous job. Cooked a fine meal here.
Try one of those mallows.
Yeah, these mallows are fine. These are the ones that look just like baby okra.
Baby okra, right.
And folks, we've had a good time out here with J.D. Dabbs from down there at Hueytown, in it, J.T.?
Hueytown Concord.
Hueytown Concord, and he knows his stuff on survival and wild edibles. And y'all stay tuned again next week for some more outdoors with Archie Phillips.